It's the True Penny Show with your host, James True Penny.
And kind of like the main theme of the rest of this part of Hokuto's career, because our next match is probably the best singles wrestling match you'll ever see. Ever. Between anyone. And this one was on Dream Slam 1, April 2nd, 1993. Dream Slam was a summit of all the Japanese women's wrestling companies run by AJW. It was main evented by... This card was main evented by Toshii Yamada and Manami Toyota versus Combat Toyota and Megumi Kudo in an absolutely fantastic tag team match, which you should also go see. But the story behind this match was that Shinobu Kandori of LLPW, a shooter, a former bronze medalist in the Olympics in judo, and a genuine badass, challenged Akira Hokuto. And Hokuto never wanted to back down from a fight, even though, like we discussed, her body wouldn't necessarily agree with that. Said, "You're a fake pro wrestler. You ain't good enough." Which is fighting talk, as you can imagine, in this particular world. And this match ends up being something very, very special indeed. And it's just a straight wrestling match. It's one fall to a finish. That's it. But the things they do to each other in that one fall to a finish is breathtaking. They had some help. This great Wally Yamaguchi, promoter, referee, photographer, and journalist, and booker, and the guy who managed Kaientai in the WWE is a special referee at ringside because he knew how to make sure you could blade deep without getting hurt. So they took some precautions. This is blood and guts. This is a match that has one of the most iconic pictures of pro wrestlers ever, which is a picture of Akira Hokuto just kicking Shinobu Kandori in the face and blood flying everywhere. This is perfect. Wrestling's not got better. I hate to say it, but we're 30 years on, and I have yet to see a wrestling match this good. I just haven't seen a singles wrestling match this good in 30 years, because this is it. They should have given up after this. I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But that's the way I feel about this. And it just starts perfectly. Kandori's acting like it's just a different match, but he doesn't realize what Hokuto's going to bring. And it just starts with Hokuto just looks like she wants to murder her. And it just starts with Hokuto punching her in the mouth. And we just go from there. And it just flows for 40 minutes. Marcus, what do you think of this?
Yeah. Hokuto is 100% on full BS from the minute go. And like James said, she walks up to Shinobu, who was not expecting what she got, which was she got straight decked in the face, hit the mat. And if I say anything else, I'm doing to listen to the service. Go watch this match. Watch this match. Go find it. It's Akira Hokuto versus Shinobu Kandori. I'll make sure James, if no other match gets on, the thread behind our show, this one does. This match was, everything that James doesn't do hyperbole when it comes to these matches. You know he doesn't do hyperbole when it comes to the women's matches. And we just talked about one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in our last chat. But this is up there. This is a different level. This is insane. Like I said, that punch really just it sets the story for the entire match. And like James said, that iconic picture of foot to face and blood to sky is it's this is insane.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to go back to. I guess you would say like the regular hullabaloo that I'm used to on a weekly basis. Not taking away from the women at all, but this is just a different gear that they don't necessarily get allowed to do because there's a social perception aesthetic that has to be associated a lot of times with the women. But this is well, primarily in WWE, but they kind of let it
Mm.
go sometimes in AEW. But this, no, this was different. This was a equal parts roller coaster ride, equal parts Nightmare on Elm Street, equal parts. Like this was, yeah, this is exactly why you watch these promotions. And I think they said, I don't know if it gets any better than this. We're going to talk about some matches after this. I don't know if it got any better, but yeah, this is why this match specifically is kind of why we do the woman career is a full conglomerate of greatness, but this is a bright star in the galaxy of her career.
This is it. I mean, she goes in, as always, she's going in injured. She has the shoulder that Toyota tore apart is still weak even after all of these years. That's the angle. And Kandori is a submission specialist. So that's the story. And what's the story is, can Hokuto survive? Can Hokuto thrive? And she does, because she takes the shoot game out of it and turns it into a fight, because she's a pro wrestler, and that's what pro wrestlers do. She is being the perfect pro wrestler. You've got to shoot her, take her outside, brawl with her, drive her home, do something different. Also the crowd reactions in this match, you can tell the difference between the early days of AJW, her AJW career, where the girls are screaming, right? It's Dallas in '85. It's the girls screaming for the Von Erichs. The girls are screaming for Akira Hokuto. The tone of the crowd in this match is men, not women. The attraction has changed. It's become a serious wrestling promotion. Now, I'd argue it was always a serious wrestling promotion, but it was marketed to young women and girls. This is marketed to wrestling fans, and this is a match for wrestling fans.
Yeah.
And
like think about
yeah,
like think about the wrestler dropped the shooter to kick the match off, and for most of it, it looked like the inverse happened because Okudo was just absolutely crimson faced.
yeah. And just the way the crowd, like, at one point, Kandori gets Hokuto up for a pile driver, and Kandori reverses it and pile drives her through a table and leaves a dent in the table the size of Hokuto's forehead. And there's a screen in the arena, and the cameraman shows you the dent in the table, and the crowd just goes, oh. And it's when there's the close up on Hokuto's face when she's coming back and she's streaming with blood, and it just so many visual iconic moments of just absolute sheer willpower of a pro wrestling match. Just Hokuto willing herself through this horror she's designed for herself, because it's her mouth that's got her there, no one else. And that's the trouble. And she realizes that she's in so much trouble. And she just wills herself defiantly, despite her shoulder, despite everything else, despite this world-class shooter that she's in the ring with. She's going to win, and she's going to win by hook or by crook. And it turns out the only reason why she wins is because she can stand up at the end. And that's it. And
Yeah,
it's just breathtakingly good. Just sheer breathtakingly good. I can't say enough about this wrestling match, just because the first time I watched it, it just moved me so much. This is what great art is, and this is because you believe in Hokuto, and it's where she starts to turn into the heel, because the story over the next year or so before this and the rematch, I didn't put in this one because I couldn't find it. The story becomes her versus LLPW and her versus the wrestling world. Can she defeat the wrestling world? Of course she can't. Someone's going to come and get her in the end. And it turns out it's Kandori. But in the meantime, we're just going through this showcase of how pro wrestling should work, how you make a babyface, how you make a heel, how you do a double turn, how you make this match, which is essentially about brawling and submissions, you make it last 40 minutes and keep it interesting for everybody. And not just interesting, keep everybody on the edge of their seat. The layout, the way the match puns, it's perfect. This is what wrestling is to me. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, Absolutely. And to your point, man, we got, we all the times, we reference it and talk about it. Like, obviously, there's always, uh, particular thing. There's always three people in the match. We talk about the two opponents, and then obviously the ref, who is the ever-present invisible man, if you will, if they're doing their job right. And then for a situation like this, you got, those, photographers at ringside and the cameraman, because you get a crap cameraman, this is a different match. You need
Oh yeah,
all the
yeah.
yeah, you need all those moments that you mentioned that play a part in that match, like that table spot. It's a key component. So that all the close-ups with the shots of blood and the pain in the face and the, like I said, Hokuto on a shooter, and yet for most of the match she looked like she had got shot. So it was like, the fact that she's the one that got in over her head coming into this match looking like the final boss with the full on samurai gear is just it's just such a great, from every perspective, like you said, this is what you want this kind of stuff to be. Didn't need to be, and shouts out to other fellow True Penny uh you know uh host co-host, like it didn't necessarily need all the barbed wire exploding stuff and fan like this was just as brutal, just as painful to watch. This was another one of those matches where by the time we got through with it, I was blessed to watch it, but I was glad it was over because I wanted these women to go home.
Absolutely, just absolutely fantastic pro wrestling. You just cannot beat this match at all.